No gold is not in her. She's a diamond.
Welcome to another exciting episode of the $1 Million Peddlers. I'm Paperboy,
And I'm Mr. Magazine.
and today we're going to talk to you about selling on eBay versus selling on Amazon. But before we do that, got a couple of things to share with you. First off,
We have our first fan mail. See that? A little kid. We won't say his name, but he's a big fan of Paperboy. He loves the face. Took a picture with his phone, mailed it in. So that's number one.
it's very, very nice, and I'm actually surprised you didn't cut my name out of the top of the newspaper and put them across with the ransom letters.
That was a night, exactly.
And as you see here, we're sitting in an auction. I may have to turn around and bid from time to time. Oh, hold on. Item I want's coming up. Okay. Yeah. All right. I want it. Very good. Got some.
Nice.
Yeah, we got a lot of props here today. We're kind of going like Carrot Top. I'm looking ugly Carrot Top. Remember how we put the couple of weeks ago? We did a video there with some of the stuff that I borrowed from you for the $1 Million Peddlers eBay site. Remember the OG magazine, OGGI, with Sophia Loren?
I remember that.
It sold.
Nice.
99 cents starting bid.
Bargain.
So we're gonna
That's the profits?
well, we split it in half.
Oh, okay.
There you go. A nice 11-cent profit. So we're doing very, very well now.
I think I owe you a halfpenny.
I would say, can I actually have that back? Times are tough. Thanks.
Yeah, I agree.
And we've borrowed a couple of other magazines here. Just a real quick thing, and then we'll get into our regular part of the video. Borrowing an Essence magazine over here. Who's that there on the cover?
Tyler Perry.
Nice. So we'll list Tyler Perry. And then these couple, which I know you've got a fair number of, these will be showing up on the $1 Million Peddlers sometime soon. That's kind of neat there with the green screen behind you there. A couple of war magazines. Figured those probably will be good things to be selling at this time.
Yeah, they do sell regularly.
Yeah. So especially now, people are sitting in the house looking for things to do. Why not catch up on your history? So today we're going to talk about eBay versus Amazon. Speaking for myself, Paperboy has roughly the same number of items on eBay as he does on Amazon.
I have Mr. Magazine has 300,000 on eBay and approximately 200,000 listings on Amazon.
So you're 60% eBay and 40% Amazon.
Correct.
I didn't even need a calculator for that.
Nice.
It's very, very nice. Personally, I would say that I sell about 2.5 to 3 times as much on eBay as I do on Amazon.
I would agree. I'm about the same.
Okay. And then here's where there's a big difference, though. Sales-wise, dollar-wise, I sell about 4 times dollar-wise as much on eBay as I would on Amazon.
For me, depending on the season, factoring out Christmas, probably 2 to 3 times. I sell more on eBay to Amazon. Christmas season, it's a little closer. It might be 2 to 1.
So how do you decide what you're going to list on one venue versus another?
I have a couple factors. One being, since I have employees and time is money, things that are in Amazon's database that are easy to list off of, I give those usually to my employees first. They can list 20, 30 items per hour, where eBay is a little more time consuming. I'll give them higher priced items, rarer items that take a little longer to describe and scan and so forth.
Well, I guess right from the start, there are certain things that you just probably would never list on Amazon.
Anything rare I wouldn't put on Amazon. If it's a first printing, a first pressing record, I would not put it on Amazon. They do not differentiate one from another. Fleetwood Mac Rumors record, big seller, could sell for $10 to $25 on Amazon. But if you have a first pressing on eBay, it could sell for $50. Depending on conditions. But Amazon wouldn't differentiate first pressing from a regular.
And actually, I've read on various boards throughout, too. If you are trying to list some of the rarer stuff on Amazon, make sure that you use the collectible drop-down. The reason why is if you list the first pressing of Fleetwood Mac or first print of a book or something other like that, and you put it on under regular, it will show up as being overpriced. You get pricing errors a lot of time on Amazon. So they'll say, oh, everybody else is selling theirs for 10, you want 100, and they'll deactivate your listing. When actually yours may very well be worth 100 because everybody else is just selling common copies and you're selling a rarer copy. So make sure that if you do try that, make sure you do use the collectibles. or the collectible / very good or whatever. Another problem potentially with Amazon is there are a lot of different categories that are gated. Now we're lucky a long time ago were able to get the sports collectible sports cards ungated in that, but there are a lot of things we are gated in. CDs, things like that were gated. Now that doesn't mean you can't list CDs. There are some that can be listed, but they tend to be some of the smaller, what's the word I'm looking for? Labels.
Yeah.
There we go.
Or even older ones. So if an item was listed 3, 4, 5 years ago before they started the heavy gating, you should be able to list off those. Same thing with sports cards. And if you have a set from 2005 that was listed yesterday, it's gated. 5, 10 years ago, if it was listed, no problem. You can list off those. So you just have to search further down on the page.
And then another thing that I'm finding too is with comic books, they're actually pushing in a lot of different comics, Marvel and DC especially. It seems to be they're pushing the Kindle. And some of the newer stuff, I mean, you buy a pile of comic books, some of the newer stuff isn't on there. And then you get into categories like, well, with the comics, you can't list things from certain publishers, Marvel, DC, various things like that. You're not allowed to list anything from scratch in that. So that's always a problem. Now, one interesting thing, take Archie comics, for example. You can list from scratch an Archie comic. However, I tried to list from scratch an Archie at Riverdale High, and it wouldn't let me. I finally figured out, I think that's because of the Riverdale TV show.
That makes sense, yeah.
So, any other tips on when to choose one venue over the other?
Another issue I have would be you'll learn that stock photos is a big thing for Amazon. So someone could have a poor picture put up there and you're listing off that. I don't recommend that if you have a new mint condition item. Find a different listing or list it from scratch. And then a lot of toys sometimes have the same SKUs or barcodes or UPCs on the back. Hot Wheels, wrestling figures, and stuff like that. So it's harder to list certain items.
Now, one thing that you can do, which is probably not worth doing on a $4 item, but you can put your own picture up. So then when the list of the 8, 10 items that are available comes up, yours actually has a picture of your actual item next to it. Yeah. That being said, are you going to pay somebody to scan something that you're going to be listing for $5?
We use a $20 minimum on stuff like that. So if there's no picture and it's a $20 item or higher, then we'll put the picture in with it.
Now, a lot of times what I will end up doing, and the reason why my Amazon sales are so much lower dollar-wise than my eBay, I list a lot of common stuff on Amazon. In other words, I go on and I get a pile of comic books, and there's so much competition on eBay, and there also is that competition on Amazon. However, you're not paying the nickel a month or whatever your fees happen to be to have it listed on Amazon, whereas you are on eBay. And why list something or other for $5 where I'm not going to make very much money on to start with on eBay and then pay a nickel a month for the privilege of doing it? So something like that I'll take and I'll list it on Amazon, and if it sells in a year, it sells in 2 years, sells in 3 years. It doesn't really matter if I didn't pay that nickel a month. But that's one of the reasons why my sales are so much lower dollar-wise. I move product, but it's lower priced product.
Makes sense.
Now, how about records, things like that? Where would you generally list those at?
Common stuff definitely I would put on Amazon. It all depends. Sometimes we check both venues, eBay and Amazon. If you have a Pink Floyd, sometimes it's better to put it on eBay or Amazon. It really depends. If it's Christmas season, I put a lot more toys, record albums, things like that on Amazon because it's going to sell for sure.
Yeah, that's good. So I guess really what it comes down to is you've got to figure out when you've got an item where to sell it at, keeping in mind the fees. Now, granted, when you start adding in the eBay fees, the PayPal fees, and all that kind of stuff versus the Amazon fees, more or less cost the same to sell on both venues. But what's the cost of an Amazon store, membership store, whatever you want to call it?
It's like $40 a month.
$40 a month, yep. Whereas eBay is a lot higher, plus you're paying the nickel per item. So for that alone, it's good to kind of put off across both sites. Over time, you'll learn what sells better on one site versus another. And again, my sales are fine on both sites, but I definitely sell a lot more on eBay. One other quick thing, can you think of any other reason any advantage of selling on eBay versus Amazon?
For me, it just depends on what it is. As far as like autographs, that's another thing. I do a lot with sports autographs, celebrity autographs, and eBay is definitely the marketplace for that compared to Amazon. more consumers are looking there, not Amazon. They wouldn't think to find a Mickey Mantle autograph on Amazon. There may be a handful, but there's hundreds on eBay.
Right. Well, that's true too. Where I kind of was thinking at is it's a lot easier to brand yourself on eBay than it is on Amazon.
And to find your store.
That is true.
Very true.
You can do so on Amazon, but it's not easy whatsoever. Amazon tries to kind of have it all there. Per item is kind of the way they shop there. Whereas eBay, you can kind of put your things out there and people can find you and buy from you. It's also another advantage of eBay for the consumer is it's a lot easier to get combined shipping.
Oh, for sure. And not that you want to make money off shipping, but you're not going to lose money on shipping through eBay. Where Amazon, there's a lot of items I sell where I lose money on the shipping.
That's true. One of the things, if you've never sold on Amazon, now they've changed it somewhat recently, but if you're selling some older items, especially if you had items on for a long time, they take a book for example. They were paying you a stock $3.99 to ship a book. That's what they were paying you. And some of these books are 5-6 pounds that I see people on there and getting $3.99 to ship it out. They're actually losing money, a fair amount of money on the shipping. And that's just in the book section, let alone you get into the toy section, things that can't go media mail, where you're shipping a 3-pound toy out to California, you're paying $13 to $15. And another disadvantage with Amazon is there are a lot fewer shipping options available to you. I don't believe the regional rates is supported.
No.
They do have the cubic. Now, they do offer the cubic shipping, which eBay does not. So it's a little, that's at least an advantage. And we've never tried the cubic shipping, but I do know it's out there for people. A lot of different things have to go into it. But again, the fact you're not paying the nickel a month, I think that's really is huge on the lower price things. You can actually afford to list something for a lower price just because of that. A nickel a month may not seem like a lot, but you start adding it up, that's 60 cents a year on an item. If it's not going to sell for 3 to 4 years, you're talking $2.40 that you got into the item. If you're selling it at $8, it's taking away all your profit right there. Not that you're making a lot on Amazon, but I guess the other way to look at it is with a lot of the stuff, if you buy a big lot of stuff, you can either lot it out on eBay or you can piecemeal it out on Amazon. Now, let me ask you one other quick question that just came to mind. Between the two sites, which is easier to list on and why?
It's funny you asked me that since I haven't listed in years. My employees do the listing for me at this point. From what I hear, listing in system, Amazon is definitely faster. If you have to list from scratch, so if an item is not in their database, the same thing with eBay. If you're listing from scratch, I heard eBay is the way to go.
Have your employees talked to you at all about a couple of the problems with listing books on Amazon?
Not recently, no.
When you go on, you have to list the language of the book. We're on United States Amazon. Take a guess what 95% of the books, the language 95% of the books that I list are in.
English?
Very good. They've got a list with languages on there I've never heard of. I don't know, maybe if I were a programmer, I might put the most common languages first, or I might put them alphabetically. They don't. They've got languages like Sanskrit and Dakota Indian and all these various things. And English is about 2/3 of the way down. So you have to go all the way down. Now, once you've found out where it is, you kind of have an idea where it's going to be in the future. But it's 2/3 of the way down. If I asked you for types of books, as far as how would you describe a book itself? They've got comic book, they've got single issue magazine. Yeah. What are two of the most common ones you're going to find with books?
Well, I would say hardcover or paperback.
There you go. They've got hardcover, spiral. They've got single issue magazine. They've got bound. They've got regular spiral. All these things. Hardcover, which took me about 5 minutes to find yesterday. I am a slow reader, but it took me about 5 minutes to find, is about 2/3 of the way down. So you've got to scroll all the way down. Now I know that's where you look at, but listing from scratch is a pain on Amazon at this point versus eBay. So just giving you a tip, if it's not in there, and I'm not even sure if everybody can list from scratch or not, you may have to, I believe you have to be in this store.
I think my employees told me that new toys, you cannot list from scratch whatsoever. It just does not allow you to list new toys anymore at this point from scratch.
And one thing that I know some people do not try this. I know some people, like, for instance, would have that toy, and they'll try to list it in everything else or some other category, housewares or whatever, somewhere where they can list. Don't do that. It's not worth risking. If Amazon finds out that you're doing that, they very quickly will shut down accounts. They have no problem at all doing so. And I don't care how big of a seller you are, you're nothing compared to what Amazon makes in a year.
Yeah. Or in a day, for that matter. But
That's true.
another violation would be you can't sell lots, you can't sell runs, you can't sell series. You know, a 1 through 5 comic, 1 through 5 book series, nothing like that as well. That's also a violation.
The only exception to that would be like a box set. If it came originally in that manner, then you can sell it that way. But otherwise, you can't put it up that way. And occasionally you do see people who try that, but again, it's just not worth doing. If you've got a lot of them, sell them on eBay. So hopefully you've learned a few things here today. And good luck to you. Sit tight. The recession will be over soon. Good luck, no matter where you choose to sell, and subscribe.
All right, have a nice day. Thank you.